The sweet potato casserole sat on my kitchen counter, still warm from the oven. I had baked it at 6 in the morning, wanting everything perfect for Thanksgiving dinner. The marshmallow topping had that golden color Diane always praised. 3 green bean casseroles waited beside it, along with my homemade cranberry sauce and 2 pumpkin pies. Everything was ready to load into the car for the drive to Diane's house. Then my phone buzzed. Brandon's text was short. Don't come. The guest list is final. I stared at those 7 words until they blurred. My hands started shaking so badly I had to set the phone down on the counter next to the casserole I'd woken up early to make. The casserole his mother specifically requested. The one she told me 3 weeks ago that Thanksgiving wouldn't be Thanksgiving without. I read the text again looking for some context I'd missed. There was none. Just those 7 words, sent at 7:47 in the morning on Thanksgiving Day. Not even a phone call. Not even an explanation. My finger hovered over his number. I could call him. I could demand answers. I could ask what I'd done wrong, why I was suddenly uninvited from a dinner I'd spent 2 months helping plan. But something stopped me. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into social media. My hands were steadier now, but my chest felt tight. Diane had posted something 30 minutes ago. I clicked on it. The photo showed her dining room table, already set for the feast. 20 place settings. Diane stood beside it, beaming, her caption reading, "So blessed to have the whole family coming today. Every seat filled with someone I love." I counted the seats. 20. Last week there had been 19. I knew because Diane had called me to discuss the seating arrangement. She'd wanted me next to Brandon's sister Rachel because you two always have such lovely conversations. Someone new had been added. Someone had taken my seat. I scrolled through the comments. Brandon's cousin Jennifer had written, "Can't wait to meet Amber finally. Brandon's told us so much about her." Amber. I sat down slowly in my kitchen chair. Amber worked at Brandon's office. He'd mentioned her a few times over the past 6 months. Always casually. Always in passing. Amber suggested a new filing system. Amber knows this great lunch spot. Amber thinks I should apply for the senior position. I'd never thought much about it. Brandon worked with lots of people. He mentioned colleagues all the time. But Amber was coming to Thanksgiving dinner. Amber had my seat. And I had been uninvited via text message. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Diane. "Naomi, honey, I hope you understand. Brandon said you had other plans. We just want everyone to be comfortable today. You understand, right? Don't make this difficult. The whole family is coming. Don't ruin it." I read her message 3 times. She hoped I understood. She wanted everyone comfortable. Don't make this difficult. Don't ruin it. The implication was clear. My presence would ruin Thanksgiving. My presence would make people uncomfortable. And somehow I was the one being difficult by existing. I looked at the food on my counter. Hours of work. Ingredients I'd shopped for carefully, trying to stay within our tight budget. I'd used my own money for most of it because Brandon had said we needed to save his paycheck for the mortgage. The mortgage on the house his parents had helped us buy. The house that was 20 minutes from Diane's home. The house Brandon had wanted because it kept him close to his family. I picked up my phone and typed a response to Brandon. Understood. Enjoy your dinner. To Diane I wrote, "I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving." Then I went to my home office and opened the bottom drawer of my desk. The folder was still there, buried under old tax returns and insurance paperwork. I pulled it out and opened it. The offer letter was 3 years old, but I'd kept it. I kept it even though I'd turned it down. Even though Brandon had been upset when I'd even considered it. Even though Diane had cried and said I was trying to take her son away from his family. The position was in Seattle. A significant promotion. Better pay. More responsibility. A chance to actually use my degree and skills instead of staying in a job I'd outgrown years ago. I'd said no because Brandon had asked me to. Because Diane had made me feel guilty. Because keeping the peace had seemed more important than my career. I read through the letter again. At the bottom there was a note from the hiring manager. "This offer stands for 3 years. We'd love to have you whenever you're ready." 3 years. Today was the last day that offer would be valid. I opened my email and started typing. "Dear Miss Patterson, I hope this message finds you well. I am writing to accept the position offered to me 3 years ago, if it is still available. I understand this is unconventional timing, but I am prepared to relocate immediately and begin work as soon as possible. Please let me know if this opportunity is still open. Best regards, Naomi Fletcher." I hit send before I could change my mind. Then I stood up and walked to my bedroom. The closet was full of clothes I rarely wore. Professional outfits I'd bought years ago when I still thought my career mattered. Dresses I'd purchased for family events where I'd smiled until my face hurt, trying to fit into a family that had never really made room for me. I pulled out 2 large suitcases and set them on the bed. My phone rang. Brandon's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. This time it was Diane. I declined the call. A text came through from Brandon. "Why are you being like this? It's just one dinner. Stop being dramatic." I didn't respond. I just kept packing. The suitcases filled quickly. I focused on essentials first. Work clothes. Documents. My laptop. The jewelry my grandmother had left me. Photographs that were mine alone, not us together. My phone kept buzzing. Text after text. "Brandon, you're acting crazy." "Diane, this is so unlike you. Please call me." "Rachel, Mom is really upset. Can you just apologize?" Apologize? For what? For being uninvited? For having my place given to someone else? For existing as an inconvenience? I turned my phone on silent and kept packing. By noon I had 4 suitcases ready. The house was quiet. Brandon was at his mother's by now. They were probably all sitting down to eat. Amber was probably charming everyone, sitting in my chair, eating food I'd helped prepare in previous years. I wondered if they were talking about me. Probably not. I'd been erased so efficiently, so completely, that I doubted I'd come up in conversation at all. My email pinged. I opened my laptop. Miss Patterson had responded already. "Naomi, I am thrilled to hear from you. Yes, the position is still available. We've actually expanded the role since our original offer. I'd love to discuss details with you. Are you available for a phone call this afternoon?" This afternoon. Thanksgiving afternoon. I looked around the bedroom. At the life I'd built here. The life I'd compromised my dreams for. The life that had just shown me exactly how little I mattered in it. I typed my response. "I'm available now." 20 minutes later, I was on the phone with Miss Patterson, discussing start dates and relocation packages and salary negotiations. She was kind and professional and treated me like someone valuable. Someone worth hiring. Someone whose presence was wanted, not tolerated. We agreed I would start in 2 weeks. That gave me time to pack, arrange movers, and find an apartment in Seattle. "I know this is fast," Miss Patterson said, "but we're genuinely excited to have you join our team. Your skills are exactly what we need." "Thank you," I said. My voice was steady. "I'm excited too." After we hung up, I sat in the quiet house for a long moment. The sweet potato casserole was probably cold by now. The pies would go to waste. All that food, all that effort, for a dinner I'd been erased from. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. I packaged up all the food and put it in the refrigerator. Maybe I'd drop it at a shelter tomorrow. Maybe I'd just throw it out. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that I was leaving. I was finally actually leaving. And I was never looking back. The day after Thanksgiving, I woke up at dawn. Brandon's side of the bed was cold. He'd come home late, slipping in quietly, probably assuming I was asleep. I'd been awake but hadn't moved or acknowledged him. He'd fallen asleep within minutes, his breathing heavy and unbothered. I got up carefully and went to the bathroom. In the mirror, I looked the same as always. Brown skin, dark eyes, hair wrapped in my satin scarf. But something inside felt different. Clear. I showered, dressed, and went to my office before Brandon woke up. I had work to do. First, I made a list. Not an emotional one. A practical one. Bank accounts to separate. Bills in my name. Subscriptions. Insurance. The car title. My retirement account. Credit cards. Every financial thread that tied me to this life needed to be identified and carefully untangled. I'd been handling our finances for years because Brandon said he found it boring. I knew exactly where every dollar went. That knowledge was about to become very useful. I opened a new bank account at a different institution. Online, private, completely separate. Then I calculated exactly what I'd contributed to our joint account over the past 5 years. My salary had always been higher than Brandon's, though he didn't like to admit it. I'd paid more than half of everything. The mortgage, the utilities, the insurance, the groceries, the car payments. All of it. I transferred my portion out of our joint account into my new one. Not a penny more than what I'd put in. Not his money. Just mine. Then I updated my direct deposit information for my current job. My next paycheck would go into my new account. After that, there would only be one more check before I left for Seattle. I changed the address on my credit cards to a P.O. box I'd rent later today. I made a note to forward my mail starting next week. The office door opened. Brandon stood there in his pajama pants looking confused. "You're up early," he said. "I have things to do." He walked over, trying to look at my computer screen. I closed the laptop. "Are you still mad about yesterday?" he asked. "It wasn't personal, babe. Mom just thought it would be better this way." "Better for who?" He sighed like I was being difficult. "Better for everyone. Amber is new to the area. She doesn't have family here. It was a nice thing to include her. By excluding me, you're making too big a deal out of this. It was one dinner." I looked at him. Really looked at him. Brandon was handsome in a conventional way. Tall, fit, clean cut. He knew how to smile and charm. He charmed me 6 years ago at a work conference. He'd seemed confident and kind. But right now, standing in my office, minimizing my hurt, he just looked small. "I'm leaving," I said. He laughed. "What, the room? Okay, dramatic." "No. I'm leaving you. I'm moving to Seattle. I accepted a job offer yesterday." The smile dropped from his face. "What are you talking about?" "I'm moving. In 2 weeks." "Very funny, Naomi. You're not going anywhere. I start my new job on December 10th. I've already signed the paperwork." He stared at me. Then he laughed again, but it sounded forced. "You're bluffing. You're trying to make a point about Thanksgiving." "Fine, point made. Can we move on?" "I'm not bluffing." "Yes, you are. You turned down that Seattle job years ago. You chose to stay here. With me. With our life. I chose wrong." His face reddened. "This is insane. You're throwing away our marriage over one dinner?" "I'm leaving because that one dinner showed me what I should have seen years ago. I don't matter here. Not to you. Not to your family. I'm just someone who makes life easier for everyone else." "That's not true." "Then why wasn't I at Thanksgiving?" "I told you. Amber needed." "I don't care about Amber." My voice was calm. Steady. "I care that you uninvited me via text. I care that your mother told me not to ruin the day by existing. I care that you gave my seat to someone else and expected me to just accept it." "You're being sensitive." "I'm being clear. I'm leaving. You can accept it or not. That's your choice." Brandon ran his hand through his hair. "Mom is going to lose it." "Not, I'm going to lose it." "Not, I don't want you to go." "Not, I'm sorry. Please stay." Just that his mother would be upset. "That's not my problem anymore," I said. "Naomi, come on. Let's talk about this rationally." "I am being rational. I have a better job, better pay, and a fresh start waiting for me." "That's extremely rational." He switched tactics, his voice softening. "What about the house? The mortgage? What about it? We bought this together. Your parents gave us the down payment. The house is in your name. I've just been contributing to the mortgage." His eyes narrowed. "So you're just going to stop paying?" "I'm taking my income with me, yes. You'll need to figure out how to cover your own bills." "That's vindictive." "That's independence." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "Fine. Take a few days. Cool off. You'll realize you're overreacting." He left the office, closing the door behind him. I opened my laptop again and continued working through my list. By the afternoon, I'd rented a P.O. box, researched apartments in Seattle, and scheduled a call with a divorce attorney for Monday morning. I'd also emailed my current boss, giving notice that I'd be leaving in 2 weeks. She responded within an hour, disappointed but understanding. Brandon spent the day watching football, acting like our conversation hadn't happened. Like I hadn't just told him I was leaving. That evening his phone rang. Diane's name flashed on the screen. "Hey, Mom," he answered, walking into the other room. I could hear his voice through the walls, though not the exact words. The tone shifted from casual to defensive to irritated. When he came back, his face was tight. "Mom noticed some weird stuff with the bank account," he said. "Did she?" "Yeah. She checks our account sometimes. Just to help us budget." "She has access to our bank account?" "She helped us buy the house. She just likes to make sure we're being responsible." I took a slow breath. "That account no longer has my money in it." "What did you do?" "I moved my contributions to my own account. Everything I put in over the years I took out." "Your money is still there. You can't just do that." "I can actually. It was my money." His phone rang again. "Diane." He answered immediately. "Yeah, she moved it." "I don't know. She's talking crazy about moving to Seattle?" "No, I don't think she's serious." "Okay, I'll tell her." He hung up and looked at me. "Mom wants to talk to you." "No." "Naomi." "No. I'm not discussing my decisions with your mother. She just wants to understand. She can want all she likes. I don't owe her an explanation. Brandon's face went red. You're being selfish. Do you know how much stress you're causing? I'm causing? Yes. This whole dramatic exit. It's unnecessary. Then let me go quietly. Mom thinks you're having some kind of breakdown. I'm having a breakthrough. There's a difference. My phone started ringing. Diane's number. I declined the call. She called again. I declined again. A text came through. Naomi, please call me. We need to talk about this. You're making a huge mistake. Brandon loves you. Think about your marriage. Think about this family. I turned my phone face down and went back to my computer. Over the next few days, I methodically dismantled my life in this house. I sorted my belongings from Brandon's. I packed what I wanted to keep. I scheduled movers for the following week. Brandon alternated between ignoring me and trying to convince me I was overreacting. He never once apologized. He never once asked me to stay because he loved me or valued me. He just kept saying I was being dramatic. That I'd changed my mind. That I'd realized I was throwing away a good thing. But I wasn't throwing anything away. I was finally picking myself up and walking toward something better. Monday morning, I had a phone consultation with a divorce attorney named Patricia Reeves. She was professional, direct, and experienced. Washington is a no-fault divorce state, she explained. But Oregon, where you currently reside, requires a waiting period. However, since you're moving to Washington for employment, we can file there once you establish residency. How long does that take? You'll need to live in Washington for 90 days before filing. In the meantime, I recommend you document everything. Financial contributions, communications, anything that shows the separation of your life from his. I've already started separating our finances. Good. Keep detailed records. Also, do you have children? No. Shared property beyond the house? The house is in his name only. We have 2 cars, but each is titled individually. Mine is paid off. His still has a loan. Any shared debts? Credit cards, but I've already removed myself as an authorized user on his cards. Our joint cards are paid off. I'll close those accounts this week. You're very organized. I've been managing our finances for 5 years. That will help. Do you anticipate him contesting the divorce? I thought about Brandon's reaction so far. The dismissal. The certainty that I'd come back. I don't think he believes I'm serious yet. He will eventually. Be prepared for that conversation to be difficult. After the call, I felt more grounded. I had a plan. A timeline. A professional helping me navigate the legal aspects. I spent the rest of Monday packing. My books, my clothes, my personal items. Everything that was mine alone went into boxes labeled for the movers. Brandon came home from work and saw the boxes stacked in the guest room. You're really doing this, he said. Yes. This is insane. You said that already? Because it is. You're throwing away 6 years over nothing. If our marriage was nothing, then I'm not losing anything by leaving. He flinched. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? He didn't answer. He just walked away. Tuesday, I rented an apartment in Seattle. A 1-bedroom in a building with good light and a view of the city. It was smaller than the house, but it was mine. My name on the lease. My deposit. My fresh start. Wednesday, the movers came to give me an estimate. Brandon was at work. I showed them what needed to be packed and shipped. They'd come next Tuesday to load everything. Thursday, Diane called again. This time I answered. Naomi, finally. I've been trying to reach you for days. I've been busy. So I hear. Brandon told me about this Seattle nonsense. It's not nonsense. It's a job. A job you turned down years ago. A job that would take you away from your family. Brandon's family. Not mine. Silence. Then, I thought we were your family. You uninvited me from Thanksgiving, Diane. That was just, it was complicated. Amber was new and Brandon thought I wouldn't matter. And you agreed. That's not fair. What's not fair is being erased from my own family gathering. What's not fair is being told I'd ruin the day by existing. I never said that. You texted me not to make things difficult. Not to ruin it. What else could that mean? Diane's voice hardened. You're being vindictive. Taking your money out of the account. Leaving Brandon to handle bills alone. Moving across the country. This is all punishment. This is self-preservation. You're destroying your marriage. My marriage was already destroyed. I'm just acknowledging it. Brandon loves you. Brandon loves convenience. I made his life easier. That's not the same as love. You're making a mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. I hung up. Friday, I submitted my final paperwork at my current job. My boss, Helen, called me into her office. "I'm sorry to see you go," she said. "You've been an asset to this team." "Thank you. I've appreciated working here." "This Seattle position, it's a significant step up?" "Yes. Senior analyst role. Better pay. More responsibility." Helen nodded. "You've been ready for that kind of role for a while. I'm glad you're taking the opportunity." "So am I. If you ever need a reference, don't hesitate to ask." We shook hands. I cleaned out my desk, said goodbye to my coworkers, and left the office for the last time. That evening, Brandon's sister Rachel called. "Hey," she said, her voice careful. "Mom told me you're leaving." "Yes. Are you okay?" The question surprised me. Rachel had always been kind, but we weren't particularly close. "I'm fine," I said. "Actually, I'm better than fine. I don't understand what happened. Mom said you had a fight about Thanksgiving?" "I was uninvited. My seat was given to someone else. When I decided that was my cue to leave, everyone acted like I was being irrational." Rachel was quiet for a moment. "I didn't know you were uninvited. Brandon told us you couldn't make it." "He lied. Naomi, I'm sorry. If I'd known." "It's okay. It actually clarified a lot for me." "Are you sure about this? About leaving?" "I've never been more sure of anything." After we hung up, I sat in the quiet house. Brandon was at his parents' house again. He'd been spending most evenings there this week, probably complaining about me to his family. I didn't care. Let him complain. Let them all discuss how unreasonable I was being. I was leaving. That was all that mattered. Saturday, I went shopping for things I'd need in Seattle. A new coffee maker because ours was Brandon's. New towels because I didn't want anything that smelled like this house. A few decorations to make the new apartment feel like home. Sunday I cleaned. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to leave things neat. I wasn't trying to be vindictive. I just wanted a clean break. Brandon finally acknowledged what was happening Sunday evening. He sat down across from me at the kitchen table. "You're really going?" he said. "Yes." "When?" "The movers come Tuesday. I drive to Seattle Wednesday." "That's 3 days." "Yes." "Naomi." His voice cracked slightly. "Don't do this." "I have to." "No, you don't. You're choosing to." "You're right. I'm choosing me." "Finally." "What about us?" "There is no us. There hasn't been for a long time. I just didn't see it until Thanksgiving." One dinner doesn't erase 6 years. No. But it revealed what those 6 years actually were. I was convenient, helpful, useful, but not valued, not wanted, not loved in the way I needed to be loved. "I do love you. You love what I do for you. That's different." He looked down at his hands. "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing. I don't want you to say anything. It's too late for words." "So that's it? You're just done?" "Yes." He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "Fine. Go to Seattle. See if I care." He left the room. A few minutes later, I heard his car start. He drove away, probably back to his mother's house. I sat in the quiet kitchen for a long time. Then I went to my office and made a final list of everything I'd accomplished this week. Bank account separated. Check. Apartment rented. Check. Movers scheduled. Check. Job transition complete. Check. Divorce attorney consulted. Check. In 1 week, I dismantled a life I'd spent 6 years building. And I felt nothing but relief. Wednesday morning, I loaded the last of my personal items into my car. The movers had taken everything else yesterday. The house looked strange now, emptier, with all my belongings gone. It looked like what it always was, Brandon's space, not ours. He'd come home late last night and gone straight to bed without speaking to me. This morning he was still asleep when I carried my final bag to the car. I left my house key on the kitchen counter. No note. No explanation. Just the key. Then I got in my car and drove away. The drive to Seattle took about 12 hours with stops. I listened to podcasts, ate fast food, and watched the landscape change from familiar to foreign. Every mile felt like freedom. I arrived at my new apartment building just before sunset. The property manager met me with keys and a welcome packet. She was friendly, efficient, and treated me like any other resident. Not someone's wife. Not someone's daughter-in-law. Just Naomi Fletcher, tenant in apartment 4C. The apartment was small but bright. Hardwood floors, large windows, a tiny balcony that overlooked the street. It was empty except for the boxes the movers had delivered yesterday. My furniture would arrive tomorrow. I stood in the center of the living room and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. That night, I slept on an air mattress in my new bedroom. The city sounds were different from home. Traffic, voices, the hum of urban life. I fell asleep smiling. Thursday my furniture arrived. I spent the day unpacking and arranging. The couch went under the window. My bookshelf against the wall. My desk in the second bedroom that I'd use as an office. Everything found a place. By evening the apartment looked lived in. I'd hung a few pieces of art I'd brought with me. My grandmother's quilt was draped over the couch. The space felt like mine. Friday I reported for my first day at the new job. The office was modern, open, with natural light everywhere. Miss Patterson met me in the lobby. "Naomi, welcome. We're thrilled to have you here." She introduced me to the team. 15 people, all friendly and professional. My new desk had a nameplate, Naomi Fletcher, Senior Analyst. The work was challenging in the best way. Projects that required real thought and expertise. Colleagues who valued input and collaboration. A boss who listened. During lunch, a woman about my age sat down across from me. "Hi, I'm Simone. I work in marketing." "Naomi. I just started today." "I know. Building gossip travels fast. You moved from Oregon?" "Yes. Just got here Wednesday." "That's brave. New job, new city, all at once." "It felt necessary." Simone smiled. "I moved here 3 years ago. Left everything behind. Best decision I ever made." We talked through lunch. Simone was funny, direct, easy to talk to. When lunch ended, she gave me her number. "If you need restaurant recommendations or just want to grab coffee, text me." "I will. Thank you." The rest of the day flew by. At 5, I drove back to my apartment, picked up Thai food on the way and ate dinner on my balcony. The city stretched out before me, full of possibility. My phone buzzed. A text from Brandon. "The bank called. The mortgage payment is late. You need to send your half." I didn't respond. Another text. "Naomi, I'm serious. I can't cover this alone." I blocked his number. Over the next few weeks, I settled into a routine. Work during the day, exploring the city in the evenings and on weekends. Simone invited me to a community art show. I went and loved it. She introduced me to her friends and they welcomed me into their group without question. I started taking a painting class on Thursday evenings. Something I'd always wanted to try but never had time for. The instructor was patient, the other students were kind, and I discovered I had a decent eye for color. One Saturday, Simone and I hiked a trail outside the city. The view from the top was stunning. Mountains, forests, water in the distance. "You seem different than when you first got here," Simone said as we sat on a rock, catching our breath. "Different how?" "Lighter. Like you were carrying something heavy and finally put it down." "That's exactly what it feels like." "What were you carrying?" "Other people's expectations. Other people's needs. Other people's version of who I should be. And now I'm just me. It's simpler. Simpler is underrated." We hiked back down as the sun set. That evening, I painted for the first time outside of class. Nothing fancy, just colors on canvas. But it felt good. Creative. My phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Naomi?" It was Diane. "How did you get this number?" "I called your office. They transferred me." I made a mental note to tell HR not to transfer personal calls. "What do you want, Diane?" "I want to talk about Brandon. He's struggling." "That's not my problem. He's your husband." "He's my soon-to-be ex-husband. You can't just abandon your marriage." "I didn't abandon it. I left it." "There's a difference. Brandon told me you blocked his number." "I did. He needs to reach you. There are bills. Bills he can pay himself. He has a job. His salary doesn't cover everything. You know that. Then he needs to adjust his lifestyle." "That's cruel." "What's cruel is uninviting me from Thanksgiving. What's cruel is treating me like an inconvenience. What's cruel is expecting me to fund a life I'm no longer part of. We made a mistake with Thanksgiving. I admit that. But this is extreme. This is proportional. You showed me I didn't matter. I believed you. Now I'm gone. If you'd just come back, we could work this out." "I don't want to work it out. I want to move forward." "With what? Some fantasy life in Seattle?" "It's not a fantasy. It's real. And it's better than anything I had there." Diane was quiet for a moment. "You've changed." "Yes, I have. I like who I'm becoming." "Brandon says you're being vindictive." "Brandon can say whatever he wants. I'm not listening anymore." I hung up and blocked that number too. Then I went back to my painting, adding bold strokes of red and blue. The canvas was bright, energetic, alive. Just like I was starting to feel. It was a Thursday evening, 3 weeks after I'd arrived in Seattle. I was at my painting class, working on a piece inspired by the Pike Place market. The instructor, Jeffrey, was giving feedback on my use of perspective. "You're improving quickly," he said. "Have you painted before?" "Not since high school art class." "You have natural talent. Don't abandon this." I smiled. "I won't." My phone buzzed in my bag. I ignored it. I'd learned to let calls go to voicemail during class. Whatever it was could wait an hour. But the phone buzzed again. And again. During the break I checked. 7 missed calls from Diane. 3 voicemails. I stepped outside and listened to the first voicemail. "Naomi, call me immediately. This is urgent." Her voice was sharp, panicked. The second message, "Naomi, I'm not joking. Call me back right now." The third, "If you don't call me in the next 10 minutes, I'm calling the police to do a welfare check." I called her back, stepping further down the street for privacy. She answered on the first ring. "Finally. Where have you been?" "In a painting class." "What's the emergency?" "The bank flagged irregularities on Brandon's account. They're saying there's suspicious activity. The mortgage payment is overdue. Bills are bouncing." "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything to Brandon's account. The bank says the account pattern changed dramatically. Large withdrawals, insufficient funds. That's because my income is no longer going into that account. You need to fix this." "No, I don't." "Naomi, the house payment is late. Brandon is getting penalty fees. His credit score will be affected. Then he should pay his bills. He can't afford the house payment alone. Then he should sell the house. Or rent out a room. Or get a second job. Those are his options." Diane's voice went cold. "You're doing this on purpose." "I'm doing nothing on purpose. I'm simply no longer subsidizing his lifestyle. You contributed to that house. You have a responsibility. The house is in his name. I was never on the deed. I just helped pay for it. Now I don't. That's how separation works. This is vindictive. This is independence. I have my own bills now. My own rent. My own life to fund." "What about your marriage vows?" "What about them?" "Brandon broke those when he uninvited me from Thanksgiving. When he made it clear I was expendable. One dinner that revealed 6 years of truth. I was funding a life that I wasn't truly part of." "That's not true." "It is true. And you know it. I was useful, helpful, convenient, but I was never truly family. Not in the way that mattered." Diane's voice shook. "If you don't help Brandon with these bills, he's going to lose the house. Then he'll lose the house. How can you be so heartless?" "I'm not heartless. I'm just no longer responsible for fixing problems that aren't mine." "He's your husband." "Not for long. I have a divorce attorney. As soon as I meet the residency requirement, I'm filing." Silence on the other end of the line. Then quietly, "You've really thought this through?" "Yes." "There's nothing I can say to change your mind?" "No." "What about everything we've meant to each other? All these years?" "Diane, you told me not to ruin Thanksgiving by showing up. You made it clear my presence was a problem. Why would I fight to stay somewhere I'm not wanted? I was trying to keep the peace. At my expense. That's always been the pattern. My feelings, my needs, my career, all sacrificed to keep the peace. I didn't realize. That's the problem. You didn't realize. And now it's too late." I heard her take a shaky breath. "Brandon needs you. Brandon needs to learn to take care of himself. Please, Naomi. Just come back and let's talk about this properly." "There's nothing to talk about. I'm building a new life here. I'm happy. I'm not coming back." "You're making a huge mistake." "Maybe. But it's my mistake to make." I hung up and stood on the sidewalk for a moment, letting the Seattle evening air cool my heated face. My hands were trembling slightly, but not from fear or regret. From relief. From the satisfaction of finally standing my ground. I went back inside to finish my painting class. The next day at work, I was in a meeting when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I glanced at it during a break. "This is Rachel. Please don't block me. Can we talk?" I waited until after the meeting to respond. "What do you want to talk about?" "Brandon told me what's happening with the bills. I didn't know you were supporting so much of his lifestyle. Most people didn't." "I'm sorry. That wasn't fair to you." "No, it wasn't. Are you really not coming back?" "I'm really not coming back." "I understand why. For what it's worth, I think you're brave." That surprised me. "Thank you." Mom is losing her mind. She's not used to people saying no to her. I noticed. Brandon is a mess. He had to borrow money from Dad to cover the mortgage. He'll figure it out. You really don't care anymore, do you? I thought about that. Did I care? About Brandon's stress, his financial problems, his hurt feelings? I care that he's struggling, I said honestly. But I'm not responsible for fixing it. He's an adult. He made choices. Now he's dealing with consequences. Fair enough. Take care of yourself, Naomi. You too, Rachel. That weekend, Simone invited me to a gallery opening. One of her friends was showing her photography. I wore a blue dress I'd bought specifically for my new life. Something bright and bold that I'd never have worn in Oregon. The gallery was crowded, full of creative people discussing art and life. I felt at home in a way I never had at Brandon's family gatherings. Simone introduced me to people. This is Naomi. She's a brilliant analyst who just moved here from Oregon. Not, this is Naomi, Brandon's wife. Not, this is Naomi, she's married. Just Naomi. My own person. We drank wine, looked at beautiful photographs, and talked about art and ambition and the courage it takes to create something from nothing. Later, standing on the sidewalk outside the gallery, Simone said, "You're glowing lately. Seattle agrees with you. It really does. Any regrets about leaving? None. Not even a little? Not even a little." And I meant it. December rolled into Seattle with rain and cold winds. I bought a proper winter coat and learned to appreciate the cozy gray days. My apartment felt like a sanctuary. I'd added plants to the windowsills, filled the bookshelves, and hung my own paintings on the walls. Work continued to go well. I'd completed my first major project and received praise from the senior leadership. Ms. Patterson mentioned a potential promotion path for next year. I'd also made more friends. Simone's circle had become mine. We did trivia nights at a local pub, went to concerts, tried new restaurants. For the first time in years, I had a social life that wasn't centered around Brandon's family. One Tuesday evening, I was making dinner when my phone rang. Another unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hello. Naomi, it's Brandon." I should have hung up. But something in his voice stopped me. He sounded different. Smaller. "How did you get this number?" "I called your company. They wouldn't transfer me, but someone took pity and gave me your direct line. Another note to make to HR. What do you want?" "I need to talk to you. About everything." "There's nothing to talk about. Please. Just give me 5 minutes." I sighed. "Fine. 5 minutes. Thank you." He paused. "Things are falling apart here." I heard. "From who?" "Rachel texted me a few weeks ago." "Of course she did." He sounded bitter. "Did she tell you I had to borrow money from my dad?" "She mentioned it." "Do you have any idea how humiliating that was?" "I'm 32 years old, and I had to ask my father for money to pay my mortgage." "That sounds difficult." "Difficult." His voice rose. "It's a nightmare. The house payment is too high. The utilities are more than I thought. The car insurance went up. I can't afford any of this. Then sell the house. I can't. We're underwater. We owe more than it's worth. Then rent out rooms. Get a roommate. I shouldn't have to do that. This is my house." "Your house." "Exactly. Your responsibility. Our house. We built this life together." "No, Brandon. You built this life. I just funded it." Silence. "Then, is that really what you think?" "It's what I know. I looked at our finances before I left. Do you know what percentage of our household income one contributed?" "I don't." 63%. Nearly 2/3. But decisions were made like we contributed equally. Or like your opinion mattered more because it was your family, your town, your life. That's not fair. What's not fair is that I sacrificed my career to stay close to your mother. What's not fair is that I turned down promotions and opportunities because you wanted to stay near your family. What's not fair is that I made your life comfortable while mine stayed small. I never asked you to do that. You didn't have to ask. You just expected it. And I complied because I thought that's what marriage meant. And now you've realized it doesn't? Now I've realized that marriage should be partnership. Equal value. Mutual respect. What we had was me accommodating you." He was quiet for a long moment. "I didn't see it that way." "I know. That's part of the problem. Can we fix it?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I don't want to. I like my life now. I like not having to consider your mother's feelings before making decisions. I like having friends who value me. I like working at a job that challenges me. I like coming home to an apartment that's mine. I don't want to go back to being convenient. I never saw you as convenient. What did you see me as? He didn't answer. Exactly, I said. You didn't see me at all. You just saw what I could do for you. That's harsh. It's honest. Naomi, I'm sorry. About Thanksgiving. About how we treated you. I should have stood up for you. Yes, you should have. If I could take it back. You can't. And it wouldn't matter if you could. Thanksgiving was just the moment I finally saw clearly. But the problems were always there. So that's it? You're just done? After 6 years, you're walking away? I walked away a month ago. This conversation is just making it official. What about us? What about our history? Our history is why I'm moving forward. I don't want more of what we had. I want something different. Something better. With someone else? With myself. And eventually, maybe with someone who actually values my presence. I valued you. You valued what I did. That's not the same thing. He made it sound like a laugh, but it came out bitter. You sound so sure of yourself. I'm sure. For the first time in years, I'm completely sure. I don't believe that. I think you're scared and you're running. Believe what you want. It doesn't change anything. Naomi. Your 5 minutes are up. Don't call this number again. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. I felt nothing but relief. I went back to making dinner, a simple pasta dish with vegetables. I ate on my balcony, watching the city lights flicker on as darkness fell. My phone buzzed. A text from Simone. Trivia night tomorrow. You in? Absolutely. The next day, I got an email from Patricia Reeves, my attorney. Naomi, you've now been a Washington resident for 90 days. We can file for divorce at your convenience. Please let me know when you'd like to proceed. I responded immediately. Please file as soon as possible. 2 hours later, she confirmed. Filing submitted. You'll be served papers within the week. I'll send copies to your address in Oregon. What was happening? The legal end of my marriage. I should have felt sad. Or scared. Or uncertain. Instead, I felt free. That evening at trivia, my team won second place. Simone bought a round of drinks to celebrate. We laughed, told stories, and made plans for the upcoming holidays. What are you doing for Christmas? Simone asked. I'm not sure yet. Staying here probably. Come to my family's dinner. We always have room for one more. Are you sure? Absolutely. My mom loves new people. Fair warning though, we're loud and chaotic. That sounds perfect. Later that night, lying in bed in my quiet apartment, I thought about holidays. Last year I'd spent Thanksgiving erased. This year I'd spend Christmas welcomed. The difference was everything. The divorce papers arrived at Brandon's house on a Thursday morning. I knew because Rachel texted me. Brandon got papers today. He's freaking out. He shouldn't be surprised. He is though. I think he really believed you'd come back. That was never going to happen. I know. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Thank you. An hour later, Brandon called from yet another number. This time I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Naomi, we need to talk about these papers. You can't just, we need to talk. Call me back. I deleted the voicemail without finishing it. Patricia called later that day. Your husband's attorney reached out. He wants to contest the divorce. On what grounds? He's claiming abandonment and financial irresponsibility. I almost laughed. I left after being excluded from my own family gathering. And I only took my own money. I know. His case is weak. But it means the process will take longer. He's trying to delay. How much longer? Could add 3 to 6 months. Unless he accepts a settlement. What kind of settlement? That depends on what he wants. Typically, division of assets and debts. Since you don't have children and most assets are separate, it should be straightforward. The house is in his name. I never wanted it anyway. What about your contributions to the mortgage? I don't want them back. I just want out. Are you sure? You paid into that house for years. I'm sure. Consider it payment for my freedom. Patricia was quiet for a moment. That's very generous. It's very final. I don't want anything that ties me to him. I'll communicate that to his attorney. If you're willing to walk away clean, he may accept quickly. Good. The faster this is over, the better. Over the next few weeks, the negotiations happened through attorneys. Brandon wanted me to contribute to his moving costs if he had to sell the house. I declined. He wanted me to pay half of the outstanding credit card debt. I showed receipts proving I'd already paid more than my share. He wanted spousal support. Patricia laughed at that request. He makes only slightly less than you, she said. And the marriage was under 10 years. He has no case for spousal support. So what does he actually have a case for? Nothing really. He's grasping at straws. By mid-January, Brandon's attorney convinced him to accept the terms. No spousal support. No division of the house. Each person responsible for their own debts. A clean break. I signed the papers in Patricia's office on a Thursday afternoon. She witnessed my signature and smiled. Congratulations. You're officially single. How long until it's finalized? 90 days. But effectively it's done. I walked out of her office into the Seattle drizzle. The air smelled like rain and possibility. That evening, Simone took me out to celebrate. We went to a nice restaurant overlooking the water. To new beginnings, she said, raising her glass. To new beginnings. We ate good food, drank good wine, and talked about everything except my marriage. It felt right to move forward without looking back. The next day I got a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but the message made me pause. Naomi, this is Diane. I wanted to apologize. You were right. About everything. I'm sorry for how we treated you. I hope you find happiness. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me wanted to tell her exactly how much damage her family had done. But mostly I just felt tired of the whole thing. I typed a simple response. Thank you for the apology. I hope things work out for all of you. Then I blocked the number. I didn't need closure from them. I'd already found it within myself. February brought clear skies and colder temperatures. I settled deeper into my Seattle life. Work was challenging and rewarding. My painting improved. My friendships grew stronger. I also started therapy. Not because I was falling apart, but because I wanted to understand why I'd accepted so little for so long. My therapist, Dr. Morgan, was insightful and direct. You're a people pleaser, she said during our third session. You prioritize others' comfort over your own needs. I'm working on that. You are. Leaving was a huge step. But the work continues. You need to learn to value yourself the way you value others. How do I do that? Start by noticing when you're about to sacrifice your needs. Pause. Ask yourself, is this what I truly want, or am I doing this to avoid conflict? I practiced that awareness. In meetings I spoke up more. With friends I said no to plans I didn't actually want to attend. In my own life I started choosing what I wanted instead of what seemed easiest. It was hard at first. Uncomfortable. But it got easier. One Saturday I went to an art supply store to buy new paints. While browsing, a man around my age struck up a conversation. That's a good brand, he said, gesturing to the tubes in my hand. The pigments are really rich. Thanks. I'm still learning what works. Are you a painter? Trying to be. I just started a few months ago. That's great. It takes courage to start something new. We talked for a few minutes about art and technique. He was friendly, easy to talk to. Before leaving, he asked if I'd like to get coffee sometime. I almost said yes. Then I paused. Did I want to? Or was I just being polite? I realized I wasn't ready yet. Dating felt premature. I was still figuring out who I was outside of being someone's wife. I appreciate the offer, I said. But I'm not really looking to date right now. Fair enough. Good luck with your painting. He left without pressure or resentment. It was a nice interaction. And I felt good about being honest. Later, I told Dr. Morgan about it. You said no to something you didn't want, she said. That's progress. It felt good. It should. You're learning to honor your own timeline. By March, the divorce was finalized. I received the official papers in the mail. Patricia had them couriered to my apartment. I sat on my couch and read through the document. Dissolution of marriage. Official end date. Division of assets. None. I was no longer Naomi Fletcher, wife of Brandon Fletcher. I was just Naomi Fletcher. Single. Independent. Free. I should have felt something dramatic. Relief maybe. Or sadness for what ended. But I just felt peaceful. Like closing a book I'd finished reading. I put the papers in a folder and filed them away. Then I made myself dinner, poured a glass of wine, and watched the sunset from my balcony. My phone buzzed. A text from Simone. Movie night tomorrow? New thriller just came out. I'm in. Life was simple now. Work, friends, art, therapy. Small pleasures. Big dreams. A future I was building one choice at a time. And for the first time in years I was excited to see what came next. Spring arrived in Seattle with cherry blossoms and longer days. I'd been in the city for 5 months and it felt more like home than Oregon ever had. My job continued to exceed expectations. In April, Miss Patterson called me into her office. Naomi, I have good news. We're creating a new position, Director of Strategic Analysis. I'd like to offer it to you. Director? I tried to keep the surprise from my voice. You've exceeded every expectation. Your insights have shaped several major projects. The team respects you. You're ready for leadership. I don't know what to say. Say yes. It comes with a significant raise and more autonomy in project selection. Then yes. Absolutely yes. She smiled. Congratulations. You've earned this. I walked back to my desk feeling like I was floating. 6 months ago, I'd been invisible in my own marriage. Now I was being promoted to director. I called Simone during lunch. I'm buying dinner tonight. I have news. That evening, over sushi and sake, I told her about the promotion. Director, she said. That's huge. How do you feel? Proud. And a little scared. It's a lot of responsibility. You can handle it. You're one of the smartest people I know. Thank you. Are you going to tell your ex? No. That part of my life is closed. Good. He doesn't deserve to know how well you're doing. I smiled. Exactly. With the raise, I could afford a nicer apartment. I started looking at places with more space, maybe a second bedroom for a proper art studio. My painting had also progressed. Jeffrey, my instructor, suggested I submit work to a local gallery for an emerging artist show. You're ready, he said. Your technique has improved dramatically, and your use of color is distinctive. You really think so? I do. Art is subjective, but talent is recognizable. You have talent. I submitted 3 pieces. 2 abstracts inspired by the Seattle skyline, and 1 landscape of the view from my favorite hiking spot. 2 weeks later, I got an email. All 3 pieces had been accepted for the show. I stared at the acceptance letter, reading it 3 times to make sure I understood. My art was going to be displayed in a real gallery. People would see it. Maybe even buy it. I called Simone immediately. She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. We're celebrating, she said. Tonight. No arguments. We went out with our friend group. 8 of us crowded into a booth at our favorite bar, toasting my gallery acceptance. To Naomi, Simone raised her glass. Artist, director, and genuine inspiration. Everyone cheered. I felt warmth spread through my chest. These people celebrated me. Not what I could do for them. Just me. The gallery show was in early May. I invited everyone I knew in Seattle. Simone, my coworkers, my painting classmates, even my therapist. The night of the opening, I wore a bright red dress. Bold, confident, nothing like the muted colors I used to wear to avoid standing out. My pieces were hung on the east wall, each with a small placard showing my name and the title. Seeing them displayed professionally was surreal. People looked at my work. Strangers stood in front of my paintings, discussing color choices and emotional impact. Several asked about purchasing prints. Jeffrey found me standing near my pieces watching people react. How does it feel? He asked. Unreal. Good unreal. You should feel proud. This is just the beginning. Simone took dozens of photos. For posterity, she said. When you're famous, I can say I knew you when. Toward the end of the evening, a man approached me. He was tall, handsome, with kind eyes and an easy smile. Are you the artist? He asked, gesturing to my paintings. I am. These are beautiful. The color work is really striking. Thank you. I'm Jordan. I work in architecture. I came tonight with a friend, but your pieces caught my attention. I'm Naomi. Thank you for the kind words. We talked for a few minutes about art and color theory and how creativity shows up in different fields. He was intelligent and genuinely interested in the conversation, not just making small talk. Before leaving, he asked if he could take me to coffee sometime. This time, when I paused to consider, the answer was different. I'd like that, I said. He smiled. Great. Can I get your number? We exchanged information. He texted me the next day and we made plans for coffee that weekend. I told Dr. Morgan about it during our session. How do you feel about dating? She asked. Nervous, but also curious. I'm different now than I was in my marriage. How so? I know what I want, what I won't accept, what I deserve. That's significant growth. It feels like it. Coffee with Jordan turned into lunch, then dinner, then a weekend hike. He was different from Brandon in fundamental ways. He listened when I talked. He asked questions about my work and actually cared about the answers. He respected my boundaries without making me feel difficult. When I mentioned I'd been married before, he didn't pry. Everyone has a past, he said. What matters is who you are now. We took things slowly. I was cautious and he respected that. He lived 2 hours away in Tacoma but made the drive regularly without complaint. You're worth the drive, he said simply. One evening, sitting on my balcony watching the sunset, Jordan asked about my divorce. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, he said. But I'm curious what brought you to Seattle. I told him the story. Not all the details but the important parts. Being uninvited from Thanksgiving. Realizing I'd made myself small. Choosing to leave and rebuild. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. That took real courage, he said finally. It took desperation. No. Desperation would have been begging them to include you. Courage was walking away and building something better. I looked at him. Thank you for seeing it that way. It's the truth. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights blink on. Dating Jordan felt different. Lighter. There was no pressure to be anyone other than myself. No family expectations to manage. No sacrificing my needs for the sake of peace. It was just two people getting to know each other, seeing if something real could develop. And for the first time in a long time, I was open to that possibility. Summer arrived with warm sunshine and long evenings. Seattle transformed into the kind of city people write songs about. I spent my weekends hiking, painting, and exploring neighborhoods I hadn't visited yet. My relationship with Jordan developed naturally. We saw each other once or twice a week, testing compatibility without rushing. He met Simone and my friends. They approved. He's good for you, Simone said after a group dinner where Jordan had fit in seamlessly. He doesn't try to change you or diminish you. I know. It's refreshing. Is it serious? It's becoming serious. But we're taking our time. Good. You deserve someone who values the pace you need. In July, I traveled to Portland for a work conference. My company was presenting research, and as the new director, I was leading the presentation. The conference was at a downtown hotel. 3 days of panels, networking, and workshops. I was nervous but prepared. The first day went well. My presentation was well received and several attendees asked thoughtful questions. During the lunch break, I networked with colleagues from other companies. Then I saw him. Brandon. He was across the conference hall talking to someone at a vendor booth. He looked thinner, tired. He hadn't seen me yet. My first instinct was to leave. To avoid the interaction entirely. But then I realized something. I didn't need to run. I had every right to be here. This was my professional space, my achievement. He didn't get to make me uncomfortable in it. I continued my conversation with the colleague I'd been talking to, keeping Brandon in my peripheral vision. He turned and our eyes met. His expression shifted through several emotions. Surprise, discomfort, something that might have been regret. He excused himself from his conversation and walked over. Naomi. Hi. Hello, Brandon. Awkward silence. My colleague sensed the tension and politely excused herself. I didn't know you'd be here, Brandon said. I'm presenting. I work in Seattle now, remember? Right. Of course. He looked at my name badge. Director. That's new. I was promoted a few months ago. Congratulations. Thank you. More silence. He seemed smaller somehow. Less certain. You look good, he said. Happy. I am happy. That's good. That's really good. He shifted his weight. Listen, I've wanted to talk to you. About everything. About how things ended. There's nothing to discuss. I think there is. I've been doing some therapy. Working through things. I've realized I handled everything poorly. I'm glad you're working on yourself. I'm sorry. For Thanksgiving. For not seeing how much you contributed. For taking you for granted. I looked at him. A year ago, this apology might have meant something. Might have cracked my resolve. Now it was just words. Too late and too little. I appreciate the apology, I said. But it doesn't change anything. I know. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. What I lost. How good you were to me. Brandon, I hope you do better in your next relationship. I really do. But this chapter is closed. Are you seeing someone? The question was invasive, but I answered anyway. That's not your business anymore. He nodded slowly. Right. Of course not. He looked around the conference hall, then back at me. I should let you get back to networking. Take care of yourself. You too. He walked away. I watched him go, waiting for some emotion to surface. Sadness maybe. Or anger. Or residual affection. But I felt nothing except mild relief that the interaction was over. I spent the rest of the conference focused on my work. I didn't see Brandon again. If he was avoiding me or if we just moved in different circles, I didn't know and didn't care. On the last day, I presented a workshop on data analysis techniques. The room was packed. 50 people taking notes, asking questions, engaging with the material. This was who I was now. A director. An expert. Someone people came to learn from. After the workshop, several attendees asked for my contact information to continue the conversation. I exchanged business cards and felt pride in what I'd built. That evening, I drove back to Seattle. Jordan had texted earlier asking if I wanted dinner. Just got back from Portland. Dinner sounds perfect. My place or yours? Yours. I'll bring wine. I stopped at a wine shop on the way, picking out a bottle the clerk recommended. Then I drove to Jordan's apartment in Tacoma. He answered the door with a smile. How was the conference? Productive. And interesting. Interesting how? Over dinner, I told him about running into Brandon. How did that feel? He asked. Surprisingly neutral. I thought seeing him might bring up old feelings. But it didn't. He apologized and I accepted it, and that was that. Do you think you'll hear from him again? I hope not. That part of my life is finished. Jordan nodded. For what it's worth, you seem completely at peace with it. I am. That's what surprised me. A year ago I was devastated. Now I just feel grateful I left. Life is better? Life is mine. That's what matters. We finished dinner and sat on his couch talking about future plans. Jordan was considering a job opportunity in Seattle. Closer to me but also better for his career. Would you mind if I moved closer? He asked. I'd like that. But only if it's what you want professionally, not just personally. It's both. The job is better. And being closer to you would be a bonus. I smiled. Then I think you should consider it seriously. I will. Later, driving home, I thought about the difference between my relationship with Brandon and my relationship with Jordan. With Brandon, I'd always felt like I was accommodating, adjusting, making space for him while shrinking myself. With Jordan, there was balance, give and take, respect and consideration. It wasn't perfect. No relationship is. But it was healthy. And that was everything. When I got home, there was a voicemail from an unknown number. I almost deleted it without listening. But something made me play it. Hi Naomi. This is Rachel. I heard you ran into Brandon at the conference. You told me you looked happy. I'm really glad. You deserve happiness. I just wanted you to know that. Take care. I saved the message. Then I texted back the number she called from. Thank you, Rachel. I hope you're well too. She responded immediately. I am. Mom is doing better too. We've all learned a lot from this situation. Thank you for that. Take care of yourself. You too. I set my phone down and looked around my apartment. My paintings on the walls. My books on the shelves. My life, built piece by piece, was a good life. A life I'd chosen. A life that finally fit. November arrived with crisp air and falling leaves. I'd been in Seattle for a year. A full year of independence, growth, and self-discovery. Jordan had taken the Seattle job and moved into an apartment 15 minutes from mine. We'd been dating for 6 months and it was the healthiest relationship I'd ever had. Work continued to challenge me in the best ways. I'd hired 2 new analysts to join my team and found that I enjoyed mentoring. Helping others develop their skills gave me satisfaction I hadn't anticipated. My art had also progressed. The gallery show in May had led to 3 sales. I'd been invited to participate in another show in January. Jeffrey told me I should consider applying to art residencies. You have something unique, he said. Don't let it go to waste. On a Wednesday afternoon in mid-November, Simone called me at work. Hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I'd been so focused on work and life that I'd barely thought about the holiday. Last year at this time, I'd been baking sweet potato casserole in a kitchen in Oregon, trying to be perfect for people who didn't value me. I haven't made plans yet, I said. Why? I'm hosting. Small gathering at my place. You, Jordan, a few friends. Nothing fancy, just good food and better company. You in? Are you sure? I don't want to impose. Naomi, you're one of my best friends. You're not imposing. You're invited. Big difference. Then yes, I'd love to come. Perfect. Can you bring that cranberry sauce you made for the potluck last month? Everyone loved it. Absolutely. After we hung up, I sat at my desk feeling grateful. Last year, I'd been uninvited from Thanksgiving. This year I was wanted. Genuinely wanted. The irony wasn't lost on me. Jordan and I went shopping together for ingredients. He was making roasted vegetables and I was handling the cranberry sauce and a pumpkin pie. This is my first real Thanksgiving in years, I said as we browsed the produce section. What do you mean? Last year was the disaster that started everything. The years before that, I was always stressed trying to please Brandon's family. This is the first time I'm celebrating because I want to, with people I actually want to spend time with. He put his arm around my shoulders. That's what holidays should be. Celebration, not obligation. Exactly. On Thanksgiving morning, I woke up early and started cooking. Not out of anxiety or duty, but because I enjoyed it. The cranberry sauce simmered on the stove, filling my apartment with sweet, tart aromas. The pie baked in the oven. My phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. Naomi, it's Diane. I hadn't heard her voice in months. Part of me wanted to hang up immediately. But curiosity won. Hello, Diane. I hope I'm not interrupting your day. I'm cooking. What do you need? She took a breath. I wanted to call and apologize. Properly this time. Last year we treated you terribly. I treated you terribly. I've spent this whole year thinking about it and I'm ashamed. Okay. You were part of our family for 6 years. You were always kind, always helpful, always trying to make things work. And we excluded you. We made you feel unwelcome. That was cruel. Yes, it was. I've talked to Brandon. He's doing better now. Therapy has helped him see things more clearly. But the damage is done and I know that. I'm not calling to ask you to come back or to forgive us. I'm just calling to say I'm sorry. You deserved so much better. I was quiet for a moment, processing. Thank you for saying that. How are you? Brandon said he saw you at a conference. He said you looked happy. I am happy. Good. That's good. Are you celebrating today? Yes. With friends in Seattle. I'm glad you have people there. You deserve to be surrounded by people who value you. I am. They do. Well, I won't keep you. I just wanted to reach out. To close that circle properly. Thank you for everything you did for our family. I hope your life in Seattle is everything you wanted it to be. It is. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, Naomi. Happy Thanksgiving, Diane. I hung up and stood in my kitchen for a moment. The apology had been genuine. I could hear it in her voice. The regret, the understanding that had come too late. Part of me appreciated it. But it didn't change anything. That chapter was still closed. I finished cooking and packed everything into containers. Jordan came over to help me carry everything to Simone's apartment. Her place was warm and inviting. Candles on the table, music playing softly, the scent of roasting turkey filling the air. 8 of us gathered around her dining table. Simone made a toast before we ate. To chosen family. To the people who show up for each other, not out of obligation but out of love. To this group, right here, right now. We all raised our glasses. The meal was delicious. The conversation flowed easily. Stories, laughter, genuine connection. Jordan sat beside me, his hand occasionally finding mine under the table. After dinner we played games and talked until late. No one was checking their phones or counting down until they could leave. Everyone was present, engaged, happy to be there. As the evening wound down, Simone pulled me aside. You seem different than a year ago, she said. I am different. Good different. The best different. I'm proud of you. For leaving. For starting over. For building this life. Thank you for being part of it. She hugged me. Always. Jordan and I walked back to my apartment around 10. The Seattle streets were quiet, the air cold and clear. That was a perfect Thanksgiving, he said. It really was. What are you thinking about? How different this year is from last year. How much has changed? Do you miss any of it? Not even a little. I miss who I thought I was becoming when I was younger. But I don't miss the life I left behind. Are you happy? I'm really happy. He kissed me softly. Good. You deserve that. Later, lying in bed, I reflected on the past year. The pain of being uninvited. The courage it took to leave. The uncertainty of starting over. The gradual building of a new life. It hadn't been easy. There were moments of doubt, of loneliness, of wondering if I'd made the right choice. But those moments had passed. And what remained was solid. Real. Mine. I was no longer the woman who made herself small to keep others comfortable. I was no longer the wife who funded a life she wasn't truly part of. I was no longer the daughter-in-law who apologized for existing. I was Naomi Fletcher. Director. Artist. Friend. Partner. Woman who chose herself. And I was home.